ahead and jump into this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this and you're tuned in to the only sports podcast with brains and bars. This is another episode of It's a Black and White Thing featuring A1 and A Ward. I'm one half of the dynamic duo, Carlos Johnson. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, clicking like and subscribe. If you are also tuning in on Facebook Live, whether that be on the Black and White fan page or on my personal Facebook profile, please like, share as you see this. Even if you don't plan on watching, just somebody else might be, still getting over a hangover from partying at the parade and might still be celebrating the Super Bowl and they want to, check out what's going on. What's going on? So yeah, go ahead and do that. Also, if you watch us live on YouTube, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of all upcoming shows. Also, in his absence, shout out to the homie A Ward. He has a battle coming up in a couple of weeks in New York City. Shout out to Remy Ma, Chrome 23, A Ward versus Vixen going down next weekend in New York City. I think the pay-per-view should be, I don't know if they got a pay-per-view. I got to look into that. I'm going to be there. So, I have no need for the pay-per-view. But if you want to cop the pay-per-view, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure they got one. I think Ruin Your Day is going to be filming, so it's going to be a good time. I am awardmerch.com for all things Award, battles, merch, and the like. And, in his absence, because I don't know. I honestly don't know if, bro, he was in New York yesterday filming face-offs for the event this weekend. And I honestly do not know if he came back. He might still be in New York for all I know. I'm pretty sure he's back in Kansas City. But in his absence, I got the homie Reese Nichols, who is joining us tonight. Reese Nichols is a contributor to Arrowhead Pride. He also is a co-host of Talk That Ish podcast. Shout out to B. Shout out to the Los Factor. Homie Los, they dropped a new episode about fatherhood and the importance of fathers. So if you can also find that podcast wherever podcasts are streamed. So go check that out, man. Shout out to you, Reese, man. How you doing this evening?
Man, I can't complain, man. I'm glad to be here, glad to be celebrating the Super Bowl victory, and trying to run it back. I'm already focused on next year. You muted yourself, I think. Yeah, for some house.
I hear
There you
you.
go.
I hear you. Yep.
Yeah,
I hear you. That's the NFL 24/7, 365.
yeah, man.
The grind never stops. So yeah, man. That's what we're here to talk about tonight, man. The conclusion of the NFL season went down this Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles took on the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. A really, man, one of the better Super Bowls of this current, like the last 5 or so years. One of the best Super Bowls, probably. Trying to think. Last year's was good. I don't think it was as good as this one. I want to say probably since the Eagles played the Patriots. That ended up being a 41-33. That was a shootout as well, but it had some defensive plays. You had Brandon Graham getting the strip sack of Tom Brady to close out that game. So yeah, man, like that was a pretty good Super Bowl. So let's get into it, man. Let's talk about it. So what your thoughts on what you watched in Super Bowl 57?
Man, I think I watched a really good game. Like I feel like it was entertaining, start to finish. Both teams come out, score, opening drive, let you know, like, hey, we here to play. I think it was good to kind of get you going and see what the rest of this game is gonna be. And then, I mean, the Eagles start doing what the Eagles did all season. Running the ball, passing vertically downfield. So it's like, man, the things the Eagles doing good. We ain't the Chiefs ain't stopping right now. So kind of, and then, I mean, I don't even call it a strip sack. I don't know how. I still don't know how Jalen Hurts fumbled that ball, but definitely take it. So when he fumbled the ball, man, and Bolton swooped it up, I was all with it, man. Returned it for the touchdown, knocked it out. So I really, man, I feel like it was one of the best Super Bowls. I was pretty entertained by like the 49ers and Chiefs Super Bowl, so I can kind of compare it to that as well. I do think that one was a really good Super Bowl. But yeah, second half, man, before the second half went, Mahomes goes down, looks like not even looks like he was in pain. Bro was like, obviously in like some of the worst pain and agony that I feel like I've ever seen Mahomes be in. So seeing him in that type of pain, seeing him go through that type of thing, was like, oh, I didn't know he was gonna come back. Like that was the only time in the game I honestly would say I was worried is when Mahomes went down. So when he went down, I was like, man, like what the Chiefs gonna do? Like Henny good, but I don't know if Henny is like that, like in this type of game, right? I'm like, so when he went down, I was like, man. But then once I seen him stand on the sideline, didn't get took back to the locker room quickly, I was like, all right, he gonna be cool. But then when second half came out, man, the Chiefs rolled. Like it's like Andy and Bieniemy seen something, and it's like it just clicked, and they made that number one defense not look so number one no more. It's like once they figured it out, it was curtains. I mean, and shout out to Jalen Hurts though, man.
Absolutely.
Um, I won't lie. Like I told the homie when we was recording the Talk That Ish podcast yesterday, I told the homie Los because he is this season said like, man, Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. I was like, top 5 in what? I was like, no, not yet. And it's honestly like hard right now in the league for me to say he ain't with the season he just had. It may not look as conventional as others, but I would have to put him top 5 from the season he just had. It's probably right at 5, but I definitely would have to probably put him top 5. And man, honestly, I mean, he was Super Bowl MVP if they win easily, right? For most of that game, he was the best player on the field. Mahomes just did what great quarterbacks do, and when it's all on the line, found a way to put the team on his back and will his team to victory. And he got some help. Like, shout out to Kadarius Toney for that punt return. Shout out to Nick Bolton for that fumble. Like, Mahomes got some help to carry him. But when it was all said and done, on a hurt ankle, a big scramble to take it to victory, just like that big scramble at the end of the Bengals game. So, man, overall, I think it was a great game. I think the Eagles proved they deserved to be there. And, you kind of question who they played that year and they schedule. It's like it was kind of soft. People, I said it, but I mean, they proved that they deserve to be on that big stage. And honestly, they play like that. And somehow, with all this money coming up that they got, don't have to pay Jalen Hurts. If they could find a way to keep a team around them, they'll be in the runnings because NFC ain't that strong anyway. So between them and the 49ers, I think Cowboys would be there in the talk every year, but they ain't gonna ever be there. So
Yo. So a couple of thoughts from the game. Yeah, first of all, I wanted to make sure, and you hit on it, but Jalen Hurts, man, like he deserves all the flowers, all the accolades. He was amazing, and to kind of see where he came from, and I know it's already been regurgitated and talked about a million times about his it's already been talked. Shout out to Los, man. Shout out to Los, man. Cowboy fans in the house. So but it's already been talked about his path to the NFL, his journey, being benched during the national championship game. Here they go. Here go the Cowboy fans. Watch your mouth about them boys, man. We gonna watch our mouth. We ain't gonna talk about them no more for the rest of the show. So we got you. We got you. We ain't gonna talk about them no more.
We said everything that needs to be said about him.
Absolutely. So, but not like his path of being benched in the national title game, going to Oklahoma and playing well, but not well enough to lead his team to a chip there, and then going to Philly. And it was kind of crazy because, like, part of the reason why Doug Peterson was let go is because the ownership wanted them to give Jalen a shot, and he wanted to stick with Carson Wentz. And so they got him out. That got his shot, and then to face, like, I get it, Philly, y'all riding for y'all guy now, but y'all wasn't riding like this for him when he was them first couple of, like, it wasn't like that, And so to see the city grow to embrace him, and that really happening this year, because people were saying Gardner Minshew should have been the starter, who were Philly fans. People were saying he should have, that if Jalen falters in the first couple of games, oh, we got Gardner Minshew, we can put him in and we'll be okay. And so to see the city, really embrace him and really take him in as a franchise quarterback. And I mean, like, there again, we don't know everything about these guys, right? We only know what they show us. But to see his composure within the game, to see how he handled everything post game, while he answered questions about overcoming, how do you get past this moment? How do you overcome this? Like, dude is a class act, man. And he's a guy that kind of like Mahomes in terms of his presence, he's a guy that you want on your team. He's a
Yeah.
guy that you want as the face of your franchise.
I mean, his composure, man. Like even when when the Chiefs took the lead and it just looked like the Chiefs were gonna try to run away with it, and not the way he just came back and just drove right down that field. I mean, it was crazy. It was good to see the growth because you could just see the growth. I mean, that ball to AJ Brown for the touchdown. That ball was so. I mean, because the coverage was there, and even AJ Brown had to make a slight adjustment because he just put the ball in the perfect pass, beat perfect coverage every time. He put that ball right where it needed to be. I was like, man, shoot, Trent McDuffie, ain't nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, good position. Good position.
Right.
You just got to shake that man's hand and
You
say,
gotta,
good
yeah,
job.
good job, bro. Like, like, what can you do? And I mean,
Absolutely.
in double coverage, just put it where nobody else could get to it, but AJ Brown, and AJ Brown made a crazy adjustment, man. It was just like man. Jalen Hurts gained my respect, man. He definitely did.
Oh, shout out to the homie Dorsey in the building. He said
He didn't
McDuffie
play it
didn't
right.
play it right.
He didn't find the ball. I give him that. He was in perfect position, but when he went to locate the ball, he got out of position. So he definitely didn't play it right. But that pass, I mean, because AJ Brown didn't play it right until the last minute. Like he located right at the last minute. So yeah, I definitely Dorsey a DB, so I know he gonna call it out in all fairness. I get it, but I mean he was still in great position. He just didn't play it right.
Yep. So the second thing that I took away from the game was, so I've now watched Mic'd Up. I watched NFL Mic'd Up. I watched Inside the NFL with Phil Simms and James Brown's the host. Phil Simms, Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin, Brandon Marshall, Julian Edelman. Right. So I watched that. So they give you the Mic'd Up portion of the game. You get to hear everything that they are saying during the game. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like, I'm a competitive guy. I was annoyed at how much, like, how just like none of this was inspiring to me. Right, hearing Travis Kelce walk around and go more. Like, I would hate to be on the NFL. I'm like, this is what y'all do all game. Y'all just run around, just shout these. We got to make a play. Stay within yourself. Stay, bro. I don't need you to tell me to stay. I'm gonna do me. Like, I'm gonna do. Like, it was just.
Some people need that, man. Some of them rookies, you got team full of rookies, man. They need to hear that, man. Come on, like.
I'm like, bro, Travis Kelce say more. One more time, man. Go stanky leg and go have a seat on the bench, bro. I don't want to hear you say more no more.
No, man.
Like,
when you the guy, man, like you gotta go pick them up, boy. I done been in them games before, boy. You gotta walk on the sideline, tell them to get it together, boy.
like, I respect
Chris
Jones. So, like, Chris Jones is actually like, he wasn't just saying like the same old thing. He's like, hey man, y'all gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I can rock with that. Yeah. Y'all got to pick it up. Y'all got to get it together. Ain't no time for no boo-hooing. Okay, cool. I can rock with that. But then go make a play. Yeah, bro, I'm trying. Like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to make a play, man. You ain't got to tell me to make a play. I'm going to make a play.
I'm trying, bro.
Like, come on, Pat. Like, I'm a player just like, Grant, I'm not you, right? I'm not you, but I'm going to go out here. I'm going to make a play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. That was one of the things that I learned from that game. Just like, boy, these NFL sidelines is trash, man. What y'all ain't got no adjustments. Y'all can talk. But anyway. But yeah, that was one of my
adjustment was more, man. More of what y'all just did. We need more. What we just did. We need more of that, man. More like
we need a touchdown. No stuff. Really, we need a touch. Hey, yeah, I'm like, come on, fam. Like, I don't know. But I mean, but shout out to them guys, man. Shout out to them guys for doing needs to be done. I guess the other part that I took is, and I think you kind of hit on it in your running back on the game, is it was a masterful second half. So I'll ask you, right? So once you saw Pat come back out there second half, right? It's 24-14. Are you still, if on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you, based on everything that had just transpired, that the Chiefs would come back and win that game?
10.
I forgot. You're irrational. I asked the wrong dude.
I tweeted at halftime. I said we were down 24. We were down 2014, right?
Yep.
Was it 24-14 or 2014?
24-14.
24-14. Right. We down. I tweeted at halftime. I said, I think we're gonna be all right. Some dude comes back, was like, man, how are we gonna be all right? We can't stop the run. We can't stop the quarterback running. I said, we'll win this game.
Okay. But I
Like,
forgot you of all of our friends though, like you're a rational confidence guy. It could have been 31-14,
we
3 minutes
straight.
left in the game,
We
and
straight.
you still to be like, you'd have been on the sidelines more, more,
More. Give me
more.
the get on the
We need a
rock. Give me the
touchdown.
rock. Give me the rock. Give this. Always, coach, whatever we need to do, call my number. Give me the rock. I got us.
Yeah, so I asked the wrong guy. And actually, when I thought about that question, I immediately answered in my mind of he's going
Yeah.
to say 10. He's going to
10.
say 10. He
I
never feels like it's over.
never. It's not a doubt in my mind. As long as it's time on the clock and you gotta start when you gotta start, man. It's like if I got Michael Jordan, I'm not out of the game ever.
I hear you. I
Like
hear you. I hear
like
you.
that's just how I feel. Like when you got I didn't see Pat come down and score so many touchdowns in like 6 minutes or 7 minutes. Like you just like, man, we got a chance. We got a chance.
But yeah, so okay. So again, like I understand that the defense gave up 35 points. And I think we'll get to something one of the homies said a little bit later about the final possession for the Chiefs. But I think I thought that the defense played, and some of the advanced analytics back this up. I thought they played pretty well despite giving up 35 points. I thought they were especially in that first half, it was kind of the same things that had plagued the Chiefs throughout the year reared its ugly head again. It was special teams, right? They give up the long kick punt return right before half. It's missed tackles by the defense. It's unforced errors on penalties, lining up in the neutral zone. 4th and 2, where I'm not sure they were going to snap the ball, jumping offside. Chris Jones taking a bad rush route and losing lane integrity. I think it was the 4th down play where Jalen ends up taking the ball and running for about 20 so yards. I think that leads to their second touchdown, maybe 3rd touchdown of the game. Right. So it was just those little errors and mistakes. And I think I put in the group chat at the time, like at halftime, like, yo, if they can clean up these errors, then they'll be in the game. Because offensively, I don't think they didn't play terribly. They just didn't have possession. Right. And so I thought they could clean it up. The other thought that I had, and I put this in the group chat before the game started. There has been in these playoffs a pattern of a team plays really well and the media overhypes it. Not overrates the team, they overhype them, right? So you had the Cowboys when they destroyed the Buccaneers, and it was just assumed that performance is just going to simply carry over to the next week. They'll be competitive with the 49ers, likely win, and then they go on. That didn't happen. You had the Bengals and them beating up the Bills and everything that led up to that week and how they were overhyped. Oh, I mean, just ad nauseum about the Bengals. That didn't translate over. And leading up to the Super Bowl, I put in the group chat with you guys that the media hyped. And look, the Eagles' front defensive line, offensive line have been stellar all season long. And they deserve their flowers. They deserve their accolades. But I thought it was overhyped to the point that people were, I don't want to say disrespecting the Chiefs, because I know that's been a hot topic around town since the Super Bowl, but I think they were downplaying too much how good the Chiefs front four was and how good their offensive line was, to the point of just saying, well, I don't think they can block those guys up front. They got 70 sacks all season. I don't think their defensive line can, and granted, they got sacks on Hurts because there were runs where he tried to scramble. I thought Leo Chenal got a couple of Saunders got a sack by pushing him out of bounds behind a line of scrimmage. But I thought that they were going, if they could just simply be their equals, then it was going to be a really competitive game. And then you can make the argument that offensive line wise, they were more than the equal of the defensive line. They outplayed them. They outplayed the Eagles' offensive line, in my opinion. Once you take away those rugby scrums they got for all those quarterback sneaks, right? And the defensive line for the Chiefs, they shut down the running game. This is the one thing that you heard leading up to the game all week long. The Eagles are going to run the ball down your throat. They're going to use the run to set up the pass. And if they do that, it's over for you. And Jalen Hurts was the most effective runner for the Eagles in that game. Everything else was the front four of the Chiefs and that offensive line of the Chiefs dominating up front. And that, one of the, I don't want to say unsung heroes, but yeah, one of the unsung heroes of the game is those offensive and defensive lines, man. So your thoughts on how both lines played in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think both like offensive line for the Eagles. I mean, I feel like they played great. In the past game, they gave Jalen time, and my thought was always, you don't have to sack Hurts. You just got to keep like once they started keeping Hurts in the pocket and they just started kind of getting upfield and not letting him be able to get outside. And then the way they was wrapping around with the linebacker being the person that was taking the quarterback, Hurts kept misreading the RPO really. Like a couple of those times, he should have handed that ball off, but he was reading that linebacker was going inside, but the linebacker was swooping out to the outside to stop him. So it really was kind of great play design by Spags in that second half. I didn't ever feel like that the Eagles defensive line was going to dominate the Chiefs offensive line. I never got that feeling because I felt like the defensive line of the Eagles had so many sacks because they was up so big in most games where they can just go after the quarterback. Like, they passing, we going out to get them. We ain't got to respect the run at all. I think once you started, when Andy came out, Pacheco got started going, hit him with a couple of those screen passes, all of that, made that off that them pass rushers slow down. And Pat has just always been, in a sense, masterful even within the pocket. So a lot of people give Pat credit for when he scrambles out of the pocket, but the subtle things he does within the pocket to avoid pass rushes is still amazing as well. So, like, did I expect him not to get any sacks? No. Like, I definitely expected them to get some. So the fact that they didn't get any, I was quite surprised at that, man. Wiley and Orlando Brown shocked the mess out of me. Like, I'm not going. They held their own. Um, they heard all the talk, and I guess they took it personally and stepped up to the plate. I mean, the Chiefs' defensive line did what they needed to do. Jalen Hurts was going to get his, but if you could slow down the running game of them, where they got to be forced into a certain situation, Jalen Hurts still showed up and won big in the pass game, but you made them one dimensional. And when they was able to do that and forced them to have to pass, I like the Chiefs' chances. So I think the defensive line for the Chiefs and the defensive line and the offensive line plays stellar. I mean, and shout out to Nick Bolton. Whenever Nick
Man,
Bolton is, whenever like the two games he played against the Bengals, and against the Eagles in the Super Bowl were phenomenal games. Because I was hard up on him, like, because I felt like he was getting pushed too far back. He was making a lot of tackles, but it was beyond the line of when Nick Bolton is getting downhill and attacking, he's at his best. I mean, and Leo Chanel even played a phenomenal game on the early downs. Like, our linebacker core played a great game too for the Chiefs.
absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned some of these players. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to jump into this real quick when we get back to the game. I'm trying to see who's won Executive of the Year. Pro Football Writers of America named Howie Roseman. Which let me just say, Howie Roseman deserves his flowers for the team that he built. Get the trade for AJ Brown. They went and I think they got Robert Quinn, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not sure he even played for them.
I
This,
didn't even
if he
hear.
did, he was non-existent.
Right.
He went and tried to bolster the interior of the line by going and getting Ndamukong Suh. He signed another interior lineman whose name is not coming to me at the moment. But man, I feel like that should have been Brett Veach's.
Absolutely.
I feel like, we talked about this earlier today or sometime this week. 10 draft picks, what, 6 major contributors, and then
Yeah.
Sky Moore being a kind of here and there contributor, and then same with Leo Chenal, going and getting Carlos Dunlap near the end of the preseason, right? Because I think he got signed third at the third preseason game.
Second week of the preseason.
You go and get Carlos Dunlap, who's a contributor to your team. You got a 7th rounder at running back, who's your starter. You got a 7th rounder cornerback playing. You got Cook playing spot minutes in the second. Like McDuffie, Karlaftis. When have we ever seen a team win a Super Bowl, let alone contend for one, with that many players replacing starters, first-time starters in the league, and making contributions that lead to a championship? Going and getting Tony for a mid-round picks. He has the big punt return. He has the touchdown. Like, he should have been again, Howie Roseman, amazing job. No, he should have been number 2 in my opinion.
Yeah.
But looking at what the Chiefs, and I know there's, again, we're gonna there's been a lot of talk about whether or not the Chiefs were in a rebuilding mode or not. We'll get to that next. I don't think it was rebuilding. It might have been a renovation, a remodel.
Like a retool. I give it a retooling.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and to have that kind of season when you are letting all these key pieces walk, you trade away the most dynamic receiver in the game, and you bring in all this new talent on offense and defense, and ends up at a championship.
Right.
And you still got what? They got what, another 8 or 9 picks this year?
10.
Like
It's crazy.
this Brett Veach with this Chiefs fan base should have bought himself at least another 5 or 6 years
Five
because
at least.
his draft history has not been the greatest, right? I know he gets a lot of credit for being the voice behind going and getting Mahomes, but as a GM, his drafts have not been the greatest. But this one, and if these guys continue to develop and become quality players that are spending 6, 7, 8, 9 years with the team, like what else? This is like a mic drop moment. This is I am untouchable. So I'll just your thoughts on the job that Brett Veach has done as a GM with this team this year.
I mean, I think it starts like last year. Like really, like when you see the trouble that we went through with the offensive line, and in the championship against the Buccaneers.
Mhm.
He revamped that whole offensive line. Like that's where it really started. I mean, you come in, you get basically before Niang got hurt, you got 3 rookies from Creed, Niang, and Smith starting. Then you go out first day of the draft. Everybody's getting big splashes. He go get Joe Tooney. And Joe Tooney's been a monster, right? And then you make the trade and you go get Orlando Brown. Though he's been up and down, if you got to tell me Orlando Brown's the weakest person on that offensive line, I'm taking it, right? So I think it started there, and then you talk about the Nick Bolton, and how he went and got him and stepped right in and playing. So I think those picks right there in that in the draft before this one is really what started it. Like he killed that. To find Trey Smith in the 6th round, you know, like killed that draft. And then you come back this draft, and I mean, everybody contributed but Kennard, right? And everybody knew he was a kind of a project person from the start. That I don't think you was hoping that maybe he can come in and take over that right tackle spot, but when he didn't, you wasn't surprised. But they seen enough in him, like we can't put him on the practice squad because they're gonna get snatched up, right? So I mean, even when you look at the long punt return, I mean, I think it was a punt return or kick return in the Super Bowl. Like the 7th round pick Johnson is the one that saved that from going all the way. Like he was a major contributor on special teams. I mean, what he's done should have got him, because to me, like shout out to the Eagles GM for what he's did. But it's easier to go trade for somebody, sign some top names, and bring that type of stuff in. Hitting it in the draft is not easy, and definitely hitting it with that many that like at the skill level that he hit it at, to have that many rookies starting and being big contributors, man, it's unheard of. Like in the AFC Championship, you're literally with 3 rookies as your cornerbacks, like against arguably one of the best receiving cores in the league. Like, like, like I don't see how Beach doesn't get it. Like your 7th round pick is out here outshining your 1st round pick. That's a knock on Beach, right? Because you're like,
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
that's a
Absolutely.
knock on him. But it's like you cleaned it up. Like you cleaned up missing in the 1st round by hitting in the 7th. Like people could be like, hey man, he messed up. He took a running back 1st round and missed, but he cleaned it up because he hit in the 7th where you ain't supposed to hit.
Absolutely. I mean, to get was it Jalen Watson, to
Yeah,
get Pacheco in the 7th, and these guys are playing major minutes for you,
it's
right?
crazy.
Joshua Williams from an HBCU, Fayetteville State. He's a contributor. Like you said, I think I saw somebody say about Chanel that he had 4 tackles for loss. He had 5 tackles forward for loss.
Yeah.
Like Brian Cook, I mean, he didn't get a ton of burn in the game, but he was
I
on the
mean,
field at certain
he
points.
he was on. He was covering deep. Like he wasn't letting stuff give. I mean, AFC Championship. He's the one tips the ball to Williams to get the interception in excellent coverage. Like, I mean, shout out to Beach and just shout out to the coaching staff to be able to take that many rookies in and develop them. And even in the losses that you see, the Chiefs' 3 losses they had this year came at a total of 10 points total.
Mm, mm.
So you're looking at 10 points from being an undefeated season. When you
That's
start
wild to think about.
when you're starting that many rookies, like I don't think of it like I said, I don't think of it as a rebuilding. That's like it's kind of like you got Kelsey, you got Mahomes, and you got Trav, and then you got Chris Jones. It's like Jordan when he had Pippen. They won 3 championships. They moved on from Horace Grant, B.J. Armstrong, John Paxson, but then they came back and retooled it with Dennis Rodman, Kukoc, and Kerr. And, and went right back and won 3 more. They didn't rebuild. They just retooled it a little bit and kept moving. That's what they did. I mean, you got Jude, and it's the way that to me that Veach works the cap. That goes like the type of contract he got Patrick Mahomes to sign, where he can move so much of that on, getting Juju to come on a player deal, right? Trading pennies for Kadarius Toney, like a composite, a comp 3rd pick in the 6th round. We got 10 more draft. Still got 10 draft picks. Who cares about those 2 draft picks, right? Because we can't keep all of them anyway this year. That's why I think he's going to be very active in trading, because there's no way we can keep 10 rookies again with this many rookies we got already shining.
Mm, mm.
So
Very
yeah.
true. All right, so let's get back to talk about some of the controversial moments in this game. I'm not going to start with the obvious one. Let's go back to Eagles possession. I don't know if they ended up scoring a touchdown on this drive or not. This might have been the field goal drive. Was it a fumble?
I think incomplete pass.
Incomplete pass. Okay.
Because when you slow it down, you want to say fumble, because you see him catch it, you see him in a sense look like he tucks, and as he goes to move forward, he gets hit. But when you looking at it, bang bang, incomplete pass. Like everything is going to look more highlighted in a slowdown when you like moving it real slow, and you like, oh, there it is right there. He tucked it away. He made a football move. But in real time, like I said incomplete from the jump. Do I wish it was a fumble? Absolutely, but it was, in my opinion, it was an incomplete pass.
Okay, so let's jump now to the most controversial play of the game. Was it a hold?
Yes,
By Bradbury.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Was it just? Have I seen worse holds? Absolutely. Did it warrant the flag? I say absolutely as well. Whenever you see that jersey get tugged, that flag is coming out. Like if it would have just been the part where he kind of seen the hand around his waist on the second one, which could have been a hold too, honestly, if they wanted to call that. I think if it was just that, you let it slide. But whenever a receiver is trying to cut back and go upfield, and you turn him a little bit, and you see that extension, it's going to get thrown every time. Because if it doesn't get thrown, if the hold doesn't happen, you probably have a touchdown,
or at least a first down.
Yeah,
which you still get the same result, right? If he gets the first down, it's the same. And that's my thing. Like,
because Bradbury was beat.
He was toast. And the crazy thing is even with all the holding he did, when you see that ball land, Juju still has about a yard and a half of separation. So imagine if he doesn't grab him, and but I haven't watched the all 22 because I didn't care that much.
There's nobody there.
There's right. At least the TV version, there's nobody there. And so, like, to see people go, well, it wasn't egregious. It was egregious. This is why they threw the flag. If it wasn't egregious, they wouldn't have thrown the flag. Right. And if he doesn't, to me, it's like, well, you don't throw the flag there. Okay, we'll give the Chiefs 7 points. Because like you said, he was going to score. And if the response to that is, well, how do you know he makes the throw? Because Mahomes was 12 for 13 in the second half. That's how I know he makes the throw. His only incompletion was he threw it away in the end zone
on a trick
play. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I know he was going to score.
And cornerbacks, when you play cornerback, if you ever play the position, you're taught, if you feel like what you're about to give up is a big player touchdown, the only thing you can do is hold this person, we'll take the penalty. Like it sucks that it came on third down, but it's like, man, I was like, coach, I was beat. Like I was beat. And it happens to the best of us. I mean, that's why Bradbury said, "Hey, yeah, I held them. I was hoping they." I mean, and the Chiefs have been on the opposite side of this. I mean, you see when D4 lines up in the neutral zone, and everybody was upset because most of the time when you line up in the neutral zone, like he was, refs give you a warning in the game. Say, "Hey, man, you kind of in the neutral zone. I didn't call it this time, but I'm gonna need you to get back." They didn't give D4 no warning. Interception thrown by Brady, flag. And you can't argue. You'd be like, well, I mean, normally refs let that slide. Yeah, they do. But was he in the neutral zone? Yes. It's a penalty, right? And that's why I kind of like I agree with Ugg and with Shannon Sharp. Like, man, a penalty in the first. If that was
It's
holding in the
penalty
first
in the
quarter,
first.
it's holding with 2 minutes left in the game with the game on the line. It's a penalty. If I'm a Eagles fan, I'm probably upset like they are. So I get it. But yeah, it was a penalty.
I guess my thing is we have spent all season being uber critical of referees because they have not thrown penalties when they should have, not called the obvious. And for the obvious to happen, whether or not he grabbed him and tackled him or spun him around, but for the obvious to happen and go, well, for my entertainment purposes, don't call it here. And
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, no, like that's that. What like what world do you live in where you want obvious fouls to happen just because you want a particular type of ending? You have to just look. My bad, coach. My bad. And
That's why
matter of fact,
LeBron was like, in my professional opinion, you don't call them. I'm like, bro, just a couple weeks ago, man, you was just
you was losing your mind over an obvious foul call. You was losing your mind.
because they didn't call it in crunch time, and now you like in crunch time you shouldn't call it. Like,
That's not how that works, bro. I wish I would have thought of that in the time because I sure would have seen the picture and be like, I guess they got this right then, huh? I guess they got that right.
I literally shared the overreaction. And said, bro, is this you? Is this? I retweeted his post with him crying over and said, bro, is this you? Because come on, man, is this like this is you because they didn't call something in crush time that they probably felt like shouldn't decide the game. So only play I feel like the refs got wrong. They probably missed some things. Like they're human, they're going to miss some things.
Absolutely.
But only play I feel like got that wrong is what's his name, Gobbert, or what's that tight end for the Eagles
Got
name?
her.
Goddard. I don't feel like it was a heck of an effort. I don't feel like he caught that pass on that sideline.
Oh no, I think that was a catch. So because the reason there was a catch is because when he regained possession, his left foot was still on the ground.
Okay,
So
so that's
so
probably
that's
what I missed.
yes, that's why they called it a possession. His left foot was still on the ground. Then when he recatches it, his right foot hits down.
Okay,
And so yeah, because
I was
that was
thinking
my
that left
question
foot was
too.
up, and all I seen was that right foot get down again, and that left foot never came back down. But so they saying the left when he got control, that left foot was still on the ground.
Right, right. So
Okay,
his right when he catches it first, his left foot is up, his right foot is down. He bobbles it while his left is coming down, and right his not his heel, but he's on the balls of his not the balls of feet, but his front part of his foot is still on the
mm,
ground when
okay,
when he recatches it, then he gets the right. Because I was on the same thing, and my question was, well, do you get if that foot was already down? Do they still count it when you recatch it? So apparently they do.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
why it was ruled to catch because his foot. Because I want to say one of the mic'd ups catches Cheffers talking about the play. And I feel like
mm.
he mentions the fact that, oh, that left foot was still down when he recaught it.
Well, that
He
makes
goes, well,
sense
in my
now.
estimation, that's a catch. So I think it
Yeah,
should stand. So yeah, and I mean, I'm not mad at Andy challenging it. I felt like you needed to challenge it because it was 3rd and 14. By the way, that was a dot from Jalen to him on that one. I mean,
that
I didn't
pass,
think
bro.
I thought I don't know if Snead should have caught it. I thought Snead was going to at least tip it. And the
Yeah,
fact that he got that over Snead, who's not a small human being,
I mean he put that ball
into
in perfect position.
oh my gosh, that was a great throw.
And I mean,
Um,
and Goddard made some great catches that game. Like he made a couple of them that I
a
was
couple of
like,
third down, incredible catches. Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so I want to jump into some of the talk this week, right? You've had a lot of Kelsey after the game. Nobody thought we would win. Nobody picked us to win. You had Kelsey reiterate that, and that has led to a lot of uh I don't know what's the word, consternation, a lot of media people being upset that the Chiefs are protesting too much about being underdogs, about no one picking them to win. So I wanted, what are your thoughts on all the back and forth about who really picked the Chiefs to win, or are they taking this nobody believed in us stuff too far?
I mean, I get the Chiefs players like coming out because I mean, at the beginning of the season, national media was all when they seen the moves that the AFC West had made, seen what the Buffalo Bills had did, and already seen how Cincinnati, you know, did what they did to us last year. I mean, it was great reason to believe that, in a sense, I get when that wide national media might have picked against the Chiefs. You give up probably the most dynamic player in the league outside of Patrick Mahomes is probably Tyreek Hill, and you give him up. And I mean, you bring in some players like an MVS and a Juju, but you like, man, they ain't Tyreek, like by any means. You let what was considered the heart and soul of your defense from a leadership standpoint, and Tyrann Mathieu walk. Like that ain't really even got talked about enough. Honestly, like letting the heart and soul of the vocal leader of your defense leave. You give up your other two starters that was at corner. All your starters at cornerback was gone outside of Snead. Your whole cornerback room was gone outside of Snead. Like your starting linebacker was gone, middle linebacker was gone. Like you lost a lot of pieces. And not even just when you talk about Hill just leaving. Only one that came back from last year was McCole Hardman, and that's not saying a lot. Like that's no shot at him, but he hadn't established himself as that guy where you like, man, we got McCole. He's McCole has his things where I feel like, when he was gone, you notice like, man, I wish we had McCole now because of some of the dynamics he brings. But when you think about revamping your whole secondary, revamping your whole wide receiver room, I get why national media is like, no, this takes time. You just don't bounce back from this type of, you know, and that's why I think it's like, yeah, the Chiefs did their thing. But if you being honest, like I thought we would be here. I never panic. I'm like, we got this, we got Mahomes, but like it still was like, man, we should be we should still be grateful because most teams can't do this. Um, but as far as like I see a lot of people on Twitter and stuff, definitely a lot of the Chiefs Kingdom fans is trying to pull up all the clips. Yes, y'all did say this. I mean, I ain't got time for it. Like we won the Super Bowl. I don't care what y'all said. like, like I don't care what y'all said before the season started. We won the Super Bowl. I ain't got to go grab a post. I ain't got to go pick about what y'all said. Here's the Lombardi. It speaks for itself. It speaks for yourself. All I got to do is post the Lombardi trophy. I ain't got to say nothing else. Y'all know what y'all said before. I don't even have to remind y'all. I'm not gonna get into a debate about y'all calling it, saying y'all didn't count. I don't care. We are Super Bowl champs, so I ain't got to go back and forth. But as players, you're gonna find whatever fuels you, and you gotta find that motivation. Like people lie to themselves just to create it. Like
Shout out Jordan.
shout out Jordan, shout out 83. Like you create a false narrative to, to give yourself some push, and it works. Like it works. It's like, everybody knows the program. Hey man, you the one messing with my sister. Like he's creating this thing in his mind to be a dog, whatever. And I think that's what the Chiefs did. Like, okay, everybody counting us out. Let's go show them. And so now what I am is like the national media is trying to walk it back as if they didn't say all that. Like, nah, bro. People got receipts out here nowadays. Like y'all said the Chiefs wasn't gonna make the playoffs. Y'all said we was gonna go from first to last. Like all these things were said. I'm like, stand on it. Like, hey, yeah,
Yeah.
I did count them out. I did for good reason.
Yeah, and shout out to the homie Dorsey. He said we y'all boys be speaking that real on here. I appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think it's two things can be true at once, right? Yes, there were certain people, a lot of people, and I think shout out to CDOT. I think CDOT posted from ESPN like their preseason predictions, and I think he said maybe one
Yeah.
of their people had them going to the Super Bowl, or maybe something like two or three, something like that. But yeah, like you said, everything we've talked about that they lost, starters on their defense that were in the Super Bowl, losing a dynamic receiver, bringing in an entirely new receiving core around Mahomes to complement Travis Kelce. There were a lot of reasons to have questions, maybe doubts is too strong a word, but there were a lot of reasons, even with Mahomes,
Right.
to wonder about just how good they would be when you looked at everything that happened around them in their own division, right? Look at Tyreek going to Miami.
And
You
then I
look
mean,
at what
Mahomes was coming off his worst season as a starter, and
which
he
they
was
saying a
coming
lot.
and yeah, because it was better than most people's best season. But he was coming off his worst season as starter. But the last taste that they had in their mouth was a Mahomes that we've never seen before, too. The worst half of football the man has ever played, where he looked like Brody Croyle. And it was like, so when that's the last taste you leave in the mouth, like, man, y'all just seen Mahomes his last game, and y'all take one of his top weapons for him. How so it was good reason to question how they, because you can honestly say the Chiefs was not supposed to win the Super Bowl this year.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
I had
This
I
was
had total faith that they could and that they would get there, but they were not supposed to. You're not supposed to
nah.
win with that many revamping your whole secondary, your whole receiving room, all these rookies. You're not supposed to win a Super Bowl. It's a testament to Patrick Mahomes, the leaders on that team, and the coaching staff and Brad Veach. Like, but you're not supposed to win that.
Absolutely. And look, this was supposed to be, I know shout out to Nick Wright, he calls it the Arrowhead Invitational, but this was supposed to be the Buffalo Bills Invitational.
Yeah.
Everyone had already crowned Josh Allen as MVP. They had crowned him as that guy. He was going to be the new face of the league. They were going to win this championship. And when they beat the Chiefs, that bolstered that argument even more. Right. And so he was the darling. He was the offseason darling, right? This was supposed to be their year. And to be fair, you add Von Miller, right? You have all those picks that they've invested, high draft picks they've invested on their defensive line. It was the best defense in the league statistically last year. You have a top 3 quarterback. You have a top 5 wide receiver. Dawson Knox is a really good wide receiver, right? Gabriel Davis this is supposed to be kind of the start of his breakout. Yeah, all those things going in their favor. And look, the season didn't end the way they wanted, obviously, but yeah, like for the media to act as if they were just like, oh yeah, the Chiefs will still be there. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of crazy to me. It's just, and I feel like the media has this thing of, well, we are the only ones who can praise you, right? You can't take the mic and talk bad about us, even though
Right.
we gave you ammunition to talk about us with, right? Like we gave you the bullets. How dare you shoot us?
Right.
Right? Like we're the only ones who can do that. And it's just
Instead of
like,
just saying, you know what, hey, I was wrong.
yeah, just own it. Like, yeah, you know what? Y'all the champions. Champs get to talk, they talk. They get to do what they do. And we just gotta sit here and take it. That's
Yeah.
all. That's it. That's it. So I mean, yeah, shout out to those guys, man. Now, Travis, you are taking a little bit too far. You are taking a little bit too far. That two things can be true at the same time. But yeah, talk your talk, man. Y'all, like you said, y'all got the
I
Lombardi.
just think I think in the Chiefs' mind somewhere, as confident as they are, Travis probably knows like we wasn't supposed to win the Super Bowl. So now that we did, I'm gonna talk my talk
And
because they know how hard it is to do this with. It's hard to do with the
it's hard
perfect
to win.
team. Like the Rams found that out because so many different things can go wrong. Definitely injuries. I
Yep.
mean, it's injuries is one of the reasons Chiefs probably this ain't the fourth Lombardi, because of what they lost in their tackles in the Super Bowl. Like injuries changed that. I mean, injuries is really one of the reasons that the Bills probably ain't where they at. You get a
Yeah.
hurt Josh
Facts.
Allen half through the season, you lose
Facts.
Von Miller, Micah Hyde was out most of it. Like that hurt them. You know,
Absolutely.
you take that away. I mean, and shoot, injuries it hurts the Bengals at the wrong time because you lose Snead and Tyler Boyd stays in that game, we might be looking at a different outcome, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
the Chiefs was fortunate not to have any really major injuries, and they got healthy at the right time, despite him. And then Mahomes just is a grinder. He just grits it out,
He's Jordan.
So, yeah.
So let's turn the page, 'cause like you said, the season never ends. Let's turn the page. Let's go into this off season. I'm going to start here. I was supposed to ask you this question the last time you were on, but I forgot about it. So I'm going to start here. Has Frank Clark bought himself another couple of years in Kansas City with his postseason performance?
It's funny. I literally asked that question 20 minutes ago in the Arrowhead Pride chat. Like, literally, like, is there a way that Frank Clark is on this team next year? And one person answered, I think this was the best answer. Like, he's like, "Hey man, a couple of emotional weeks of him pouring his heart out don't change the tough decisions that have to be made in a couple of weeks." Um, for him to be here, I think he would have to he would have to humble himself and take a major pay cut, because he took one to stay. Like, and they threw some dummy years on there again just to make it look like something. But he'll have to take another pay cut, you know, to get to be back here. And maybe he's at a point in his career where that's more important, where he don't want to start over, because I don't think he's going to get a tremendous payday anywhere. So it's like, do I take 3 or 4 million less than what I can go be just to be a guy here and have a chance at another Super Bowl? If he's smart, he would. He's rich, like, because he ain't going to get he's not going to get another massive contract.
Right.
He probably can get a better contract somewhere else than he can get here and lose. So it's just like, do I think he's going to be here? My gut tells me yes, because I feel like the coaches really want him here. It just comes down to, is he going to take less money? Because like everybody's tied to the motion. I think Big Red. I think Andy Reid loves Frank Clark. I think Frank Clark loves Andy Reid. One person that I know is not tied to an emotion period is Brett Veach, and he will give you them walking papers, because only thing he's tied to is what's best for the Chiefs down the road. Not even just next year, 4 to 5 years. He's already looking there, which is a GM supposed to do. You don't see people just hugging all on Veach and Veach hugging all on them. Like, you can kind of see that he kind of keeps that. He's happy, he'll shake hands and all that, but he kind of like keeps that guard, because when it's time to make a decision, can't be no emotion tied to it. Only
Okay.
person he probably hug and keep that emotion to is, "Come here, Kelsey. Come here, Mahomes." Like,
I hear
y'all.
that.
I love y'all, but everybody else is expendable.
I hear that. So I'm going to make you Reese Veach. Yo, listen, Arrowhead Pride. Listen, I know y'all got a fleet of writers, but this is something this is his bag, right? I know y'all got him on draft coverage, but this is his bag. We call him Reese Veach in our group chat. So I'm going to make you the GM.
Mm-hmm.
You can re-sign 3 players. You don't have to get in specifics on money and all that good stuff. Matter of fact, I'm a solo. I'm gonna give you the solo screen, give you the main stage. You get 3 guys to re-sign from this free agent class for the Chiefs. Who are they?
3 guys to re-sign from the solo class for the Chiefs. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture everybody that's a free agent right now.
So this is for the Chiefs, right? So I'm gonna
Yeah,
look this up while you think about it.
I
I
tweeted
would
this out
say,
the other
because
day.
Frank Clark, right? Frank Clark is
Yeah,
one of them.
Frank Clark's not a free agent.
Oh, he's not a free agent. Okay, my fault.
Yeah, he has another year. That's why I say
Orlando
he'll have to.
Brown. So Orlando Brown,
Mm-hmm.
Juju,
Mm-hmm.
Derek Nottie,
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Dunlap,
Uh-huh.
Andrew Wiley.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Henny's retired. Ronald Jones, okay. Michael Burton, Blake Bell, Mecole Hardman, Deion Bush, Brandon Williams, Juan Thornhill, Colin Saunders, Jerick McKinnon. Like, wow. Justin Watson, Nick Allegretti. So those are all the unrestricted. I'm not gonna worry about
Okay.
restricted guys.
No,
Those are
restricted, they'll
all
be back.
unrestricted.
Unrestricted. I'm resigning Colin Saunders.
Oh, okay.
That's my number. I'm letting Nadi walk. Um, I'm letting Juan Thornhill walk because Cook played too good. I think the draft is decent enough to go and get you a third safety in the third or second round again. Um, Man, my heart wants to resign Jared McKinnon because of what he brings to the offense, but it's like, Carlos Dunlap is like not a big thing. So I'm going to resign Colin Saunders,
Okay.
um, Allegretti.
Wait, for 3?
That's two.
So Saunders and Allegretti are your 2 of your 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay, okay. Continue. Cook on. Let him cook.
The depth at that offensive line is very important. We've been healthy for the last few couple years. That's not going to keep being that way. And I feel like he's a starter somewhere else if he goes. That's how solid he. When he comes in, you really don't tell that he's in there, and that's good for our offensive lineman.
Okay.
Um, Man, that might be it.
Only 2?
I mean, I would, but if I'm like because here's the thing, like I know what jumps off is Juju. Um, I will resign Juju for the right price, for the right amount of, for the right money, the right contract. I resign Juju. If the price gets too high, he's not worth it
Okay.
because like I feel like that Sky Moore and Juju play the same role.
Mhm.
They're both intermediate route runners, great route runners with great hands. Because of course Juju's a little bit, on the bigger side, but both are best in the slot. Sky Moore is not the jet sweep and that type of guy that they were trying to make him out to be. They were just trying to get the ball in his hands. He's not that he is much better playing the role that Juju is playing for cheaper. You're not you're not moving on from MVS because he's on another contract. It's not worth the dead money to let him walk and revamp the whole room. So would I take Juju back? Yeah, for the right price.
Okay.
Um, if the money's too high, let him walk.
Okay.
Like you can't overspend for a guy that only had 100-yard games. Like you just can't. Hardman, he's if one thing the draft is deep in, it may not be dynamic receiver, but it is speedy receivers. So you can
True.
find somebody in the draft that can do what Hardman does, in my opinion. So you let him walk. But if he wants to take a player deal because he's not, I don't, he didn't do enough this year because of injury to me to get big money. So if he want to come back on a 1-year winner, cool. Um, Colin Saunders, I think is just now scratching the surface of where he's about to be.
Mm.
What the step forward that I seen him take this year, I feel was very noticeable. So I think him paired next to Chris Jones in a rotational move. I'm bringing him back, and I'm just all about keeping the depth in the line. You know, Andrew Wiley played good. He had a solid season, better than what everybody thought he would do at right tackle. But I think you have to, in this sense, go ahead and give younger and more athletic there if you want to move forward. Like so Orlando Brown, he'll be my third. Is
Okay.
Orlando Brown
Okay. So
because you can't, like, when I look at the draft, it's not, from what I looked at so far, I don't feel like left tackle is just that dominant of a position right now in the draft where you go get somebody that can come in and do what Brown is doing right now. And free agency definitely is not there. So unless you're trading for somebody, then I think if you go anywhere else, draft a free agent, you take a step back from Brown. Now, I'm still not going to make Brown the highest paid left tackle in football, but I think you franchise tag him again.
okay.
Yeah, so that's my three: Allegretti, Brown, Saunders.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool.
Because
So
Thornhill came on at the end of the season. Like he came on and had a great end of the season. You don't draft a safety in the second round and have him sit again. When they drafted Brian Cook, Thornhill's papers was already written.
although I feel like they did that with Thornhill. I know he came out the ACL injury
Yeah,
after during his rookie season. I feel like it took him a long time to really start to get consistent snaps. Right, while people were
yeah.
complaining about Dirty Dan. So
Because I think
um,
if they really had high hopes on Thornhill, then they would have focused on drafting the safety and wouldn't even focused on bringing Reed in. I figured when they signed Reed to that 3-year deal and drafted a safety in the second round, that was telling you that it's really Veach's MO. Like when he drafts somebody in the second round, normally by the second year they are starting. You look, he did the same thing at linebacker with Willie Gay the first year, then came right back the next year, took another linebacker. Those are your two starting linebackers now. He moved up the rest of them guys out of there. You know, he's going same reason you take a Sky Moore in the second round.
Right.
Because you don't draft somebody like Miko was drafted in the second round because they thought he was going to have to start with what was going on with Tyreek Hill. Right? That's been whoever Veach Creed, second round, starting. Whoever Veach normally drafts in the second round, by the first or second year, they are starting.
Hey, listen, Sky, I need you to make sure you really in your playbook this offseason, on my boy, because you can't keep lining up in the wrong spot. Like, you know what I'm saying? It worked out in your favor this time, but you can't expect your homie to bail you out every
My
time.
whole thing with that play, though, was like, if Sky was in the wrong spot, that means Tony had to be in the wrong spot, too.
Interesting.
Because there's no way, unless he's starting Sky here next to Tony, bringing him fully in motion, then bringing him back to run that same route. That's the only way that works with Tony on his right side, is that he brings Sky fully in motion. But they said the play clock was running down, so there was no way that he was going to be able to bring him fully in motion all the way back. I'm interested to see. I think they were supposed to be side. They was planning on going that same side, and that's why Mahomes looked there. Then he seen Tony. Tony's like, "No, this supposed to go to Sky. Sky over there." I think they both was in the wrong spot.
Okay. All I'm saying is, Sky,
Yeah,
listen,
get
they're
it
gonna
together.
draft another. They're gonna draft another wide receiver the second round.
Second round.
You keep. All right, so let's close on this, man. Let's talk about the draft. So as it stands right now, right before they make any free agent moves, the Chiefs' top 3 needs at in the draft are what? As it stands today,
Either edge or defensive. I would say edge is still a need, because I feel like, much as my heart says Frank Clark gonna be here, even if he's here, you have to bring in somebody else. Frank Clark can slide into that Dunlap role and get you another, young speed. So I'm gonna say edge, offensive tackle, wide receiver. Wide receiver or defensive tackle will probably be my third. I'm bouncing between, because this draft has some good defensive tackle. If you're looking to get that defensive tackle, I think this is the draft you want to go get it in. But I think it definitely
okay.
has to. I think tackle and offensive tackle, edge, and I feel like we straighten the secondary for the top round. We straightened linebacker, so I would have to say receiver,
Okay.
because we still don't have that guy.
Yeah, you still don't have a number one.
Shout out to Kelsey, and as good as Kelsey doing, at some point that's going to start to decline.
So I wonder, do you think Noah Gray? I thought he did some really good things late in the season. Can he be not necessarily the heir apparent, but can he be someone to help keep that position afloat until they can find their Kelsey?
I think he can, because my thing is, Kelsey is so good, you're not going to find a Kelsey. And that's why it's even so hard looking at tight ends like draft prospects, because you're trying to be like, oh, can they be Travis Kelsey? It's like, no. like no, like probably not. Being able to read the defense, but I think you've seen the progression of Noah Gray, that it's starting to look a lot of how Kelsey's career started, though. I feel like if he got the snaps, that he could easily be a 700-yard, 800-yard tight end in this offense, because you're talking about Andy Reid too. Andy Reid's going to get him open. It's the miscellaneous stuff in the chemistry that Mahomes and Kelsey has that takes that to the next level.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to throw a couple of plugs for Notre Dame guys. Isaiah Foskey as an edge. He's got the size that I think that a guy like Spags would like. I think he's like 6'5", about 250.
Will he be there at 30? What are we at, 31?
He's going to be a day 2 guy. Like I think that you can, if you decide you want to grab him at 31, you could, but I think you could probably get him some point in day two. I don't know if Michael Mayer tight end is going to be there at 31. I think he should go in the first round, but a guy that I'm interested in at tight end is Sam Laporta from Iowa. Now, look, Iowa's offense makes little league offenses look like the greatest show on turf. Like that's how bad Iowa's offense is. So like his numbers are not going to wow you, but Iowa has a track record of producing some decent wide receivers, right? You got George Kittle, Noah Fant, so they have a little bit of history. But I'm interested to see Luke Musgrave from Oregon State is a guy that I find to be interesting as well. Other edge guys, Miles Murphy. I don't know if Miles Murphy makes it all the way to 31.
I think the Chiefs trade up this year.
Interesting because of all the draft picks.
You got all the because honestly, when you got that many to me young players that stepped up and played, you got them for at least 3 more years.
Right.
You got McDuffie and Karlaftis on 5th-year options that you most likely pick up, right? So I think you're so straight in that core right there. The offensive line is fairly young, outside of Joe Tooney. So you're good there. So it's like I don't think there's big enough holes to fill over the next couple of years where your first round pick next year necessarily matters. Definitely when you know it's going to be towards the end.
Yeah.
So if you got to trade this first round pick this year, next year's first round, coupled in with a second round of this year to move up and get you a left tackle or a right tackle for the next 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a hole. That's one of the biggest holes you got. Why not go and trade up and fill it? You so young everywhere else.
So last name I throw out, we'll end it on this note. I'm curious to see, he was hurt for the national title game, so I'm curious to see where his if he'll be able to be ready for the combine. But Nolan Smith from Georgia, they have been putting out some dogs on the defensive line, and I think he's a guy where, again, depending on what that injury looks like for him, I haven't dug into what he might be projected in terms of round he would go into, whether he's day one, day two, day three. He's probably got to be a day two guy, even with the injury that as it relates right now. But if he's healthy enough to do combine or pro day, he's probably numbers are going to test off the charts. And I think the one thing the Chiefs miss on the edge right now is a guy. I mean, shout out to Karlaftis, whose motor runs high, but you need someone who has some bend, who can kind of turn that corner. And I think he can be one of those guys who's going to be speedy. He's going to have a quick twitch, going to be able to get off the ball quickly at the snap. And that would be a guy like at 31 if I'm the Chiefs, because there is no 32nd pick because the Dolphins forfeited their pick for the Tom Brady fiasco. So at 31, if I'm the Chiefs, and again, depending on what your needs are, how free agency has treated you up to that point, yeah, maybe.
And I just don't see Brett Veach. I mean, he's not the type to just go spend big money in free agents. He's gonna have a lot of Chiefs fans mad again because they're gonna see. I don't even think the free agent class is that great this year. Period.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it. I know at wide receiver it is absolute trash, and that's why Juju could probably get a bag depending on.
That's why I think he's gonna get a bag.
And you get that Super Bowl bump, right? You win a Super Bowl, and you'll see guys who are free agents go out and get a little bit of a little bit more money because they have that shine on them of having being a champion. So I can see McCole potentially finding a new home. I can see Juju. I think we talked about this. I think the thing with Juju is I think Juju is tasted and seen. And I think being in this organization and being around this team, I could see him taking a discount to stay in Kansas City. It's kind of, I guess, what he did with Pittsburgh, right? He could have came.
If he's smart, he will.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs offered more than Pittsburgh did, but he opted to go back to the Steelers. So, and not that it was that much more, but I think it was a couple of years, right? It was like a 2 or 3 year deal they put on the table for him, right? And he went back for one. So, I mean, Juju's a different cat. Maybe,
I mean, if he's smart, he will, because he needs Juju's a number 2 guy. I mean, he needs another dynamic thing where there's a receiver, tight end, whatever. And he's just going to be a 900,000 yard guy. He's not going to be that 1,600 yard, 18. Like, he's not going to be that. He's a number 2 guy, and that's okay. And but I think he needs to recognize that to not and say like, man, let me stay where all the pressure ain't on me to go be the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I like to see the Chiefs go and fix and grab him. He ain't did nothing to warrant this, but I feel like in our offense, Andy can make him phenomenal, and Patrick Mahomes can make him phenomenal. It's Claypool. Like the Bears realize they messed up by going to get him and all that. Throw the Bears a 6th-round pick. Come on, Claypool. Come on over here with a winning offense and shine. Cause I feel like Claypool was good. I just feel like he's been in bad situations.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, Brett Veach loves an open box special, right? If it's got a little bit of damage and you can discount the price a little bit, yeah. Listen, ain't nobody gonna see the side of that refrigerator with that dent on it. It's gonna be on the wall anyway.
Right.
Ain't nobody gonna see that. You know what I'm saying? It still work. The ice maker is good, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Bring them on in.
Absolutely. Shout out to Mama Ward in the building.
Hey, Mama.
But yeah, man, that's our show, man. I appreciate you, Reese, for coming on and joining us this episode.
Always.
If timing works for me, we'll be up in the morning, early, probably about 9-10 o'clock. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Once again, you can find every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for It's a Black and White Thing or Brains and Bars. You can check us out on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, share, retweet, wow, I cannot say the word retweet, repost, share, so that this can get viewed to a wider audience. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I am awardmerch.com. And of course, my dad shows up one more time. Cowboy fans in the building. Let them have the last word. But you can check us out on all social media channels by searching at Brains and Bars. It's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Shout out to the homie Reese Nichols. You can check him out on arrowheadpride.com. He has an article up about Kadarius Toney and his major contribution to the win in the Super Bowl. Also check out Talk That Ish podcast. He's a co-host there with the homies B, the Los Factor Man. Got a new episode up about fatherhood and a new episode dropping tomorrow.
Yep.
New episode drops tomorrow. So wherever you listen to podcasts, go check those guys out. Talk That Ish. And until next time, it's been a Black and White Thing, man. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good evening.